All right. A very good morning to everybody who is joining in this final part of the RPA forum. My name is Hajo Reyers. I'll be your host together with Iris Berenpoot. We are both from Utrecht University. We're very excited that we have two industrial speakers who will also show the true application of robotic process automation in practice, which I think is something that is of interest to many people. The BPM conference over the past days has shown that RPA is a very interesting and much researched topic. What I want to say before I introduce the first speaker is that you can use the facilities of Zoom to interact with us. You can raise questions either by putting them in the Q&A box. You can also use the chat box. You can also raise your hand, but we agreed with the speakers that we will first give them the opportunity to present completely, and there will be 10 to 5 minutes towards the end of each of the two sessions where we could have a question and answer session. It is my pleasure to introduce Victor Diaz. He's a principal consultant at the Appian RPA Center of Excellence in Sevilla. He's a telecom engineer, has a lot of experience. He has worked for more than 10 years in developing automated processes in all kinds of industries, including finance, utilities, and banking. We're very glad to have him with us, and I would like to hand over to him so he can tell us about how to use RPA for full stack automation. Victor, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Hajo, for your kind presentation. I hope everybody's seeing my screen. Today we're going to talk about how to pass from the old plain RPA to what we call a full stack automation tool. Okay, it's all about how to deliver the right technology for the right use case. Okay, so well, I think it's going to be fun. So let's start. In the last years, the robotic process automation has broadly proven its effectiveness in automating specific use cases. Okay, these use cases are such like automating high volume human tasks based on very stable predefined rules, maybe even integrating systems where no APIs were available. But well, although this automation has been proven very useful, it's true that the candidate processes for being automated were very limited because we needed very well structured data. We needed stable and well-defined processes, systems with low change and even low exceptions. That was because the robots needed to be very well-defined, and they have very limited capacity to integrate with humans or with artificial intelligence. And so we can say that the robots were very diligent in doing what they did, but all at the same time were very dumb. Okay, so that's why in recent times, recent months, the concept of hyper-automation has been gaining strength, because it's about bringing people and robots and artificial intelligence all together to achieve really impactful automation. Okay, and to address complex end-to-end processes, and this is the approach that we have here in Appian. Okay, and there is also another key aspect that we can't forget. And when it comes to complex end-to-end processes, it's key to have a centralized governance. Scalability is also critical for this kind of processes. So we found that RPA alone is not enough. We need a way to scale, a way to centralize the management, the monitoring, the reporting of the robots. Okay, and all this is what we can achieve with Appian in an integrated tool. So, well, we've been talking about automation, but exactly what is automation? Okay. At Appian, we understand process automation as a way to rethink the work and to combine human and robotic capabilities in the very most efficient way. Okay, we need to understand each of the pieces as workers in the same workflow. So the concept of workflow is fundamental here, because full stack automation is about bringing, as I said, people and bots and artificial intelligence all together, driven by the workflow. Okay, that's the key. The workflow is what glues everything together. So our apps are going to require a full orchestration between all these components, all the people, the digital workforce, and everything. So it's not going to be enough to develop robots at random and to automate little tasks here and there, or use artificial intelligence just as a chat box to interface with customers. Well, those are very valid cases, okay? Don't get me wrong, they are perfectly fine cases. But the orchestration of these agents is going to be the key in allowing us to automate larger and more complex enterprise processes. And this way we can take full advantage of the automation, okay? Some of the advantages that we're going to get with this approach is, first of all, we're going to accelerate the time to impact. We're going to get faster results and faster return of our investment, okay? Or the investment that we make in AI and in RPA, it's going to get a much more faster return of this investment. It's also possible for the people to focus on the most important things for them. We try to liberate it, to free the people from doing repetitive tasks that doesn't really, where the person doesn't really add any value, because our task that can be done by other means. So the human can focus on what is really unique to us. And when we need to analyze, when we need to think, we need all those skills that a bot and artificial intelligence just doesn't have, okay? And once we're studying all those processes, we have the opportunity to eliminate redundancies. We analyze the processes, and in this way, by defining the workflow, we find things that we wouldn't be doing those things so well, so we can optimize the process. And we also can make the precision of the process higher. We can slow down the errors, because bots, if they are well developed, tend to be more stable than people. People usually, when we are doing repetitive tasks, we tend to make mistakes because we always do the same things, and sometimes we make mistakes. A robot doesn't make this kind of mistakes. So overall, what we try is to create a better experience for the employees and for the customers and for everybody. We try to optimize the resources of the company and to make a better experience for everybody. That's automation for us. And as I said, here is a little bit the summary of what we've been talking about, okay? We have all these capabilities, defining the workflow, the BPM, we have the RPA, we have the artificial intelligence, decision rules, case management, all these combined, all these come together. So we can really transform the organization through this automation, okay? And in this session, where I pretend to show you a few examples of how we can achieve this, okay? So, well, let's start with the first example. Let's read the theory for now and just start seeing some robots in action. This first process that we have automated is a very simple robot, okay? The robot is just going to go to a web page, and it's going to retrieve some information. It's going to copy information from the web page. That's called web scraping. And with that information, it's going to generate an Excel file or a PowerPoint. As we have said, this is something that a human can do. A human can go to a web page and copy and paste, but it's something that the human really adds no value to that work. So it's better to let a robot do it, okay? Well, we have selected a report based on the COVID-19 because of the effect that is having in everybody's life nowadays. So let's see what the robot does. I would like you to show you a quick glance of the workflow, and then we will go to the platform and we'll see it live. As I've said, this is a very simple workflow because it's just a demo robot. We are going to open the browser and navigate to that page, and we are going to extract the data. And when we are done extracting the data, we are going to generate this information, this report with the information that we gathered. Okay, so let's see here. We have the platform. These are the robotic processes. If I go into the detail of this, no, this is not the one that I want to choose. This one. This one is the COVID-19 reports. This is the workflow that we just saw, okay? And we also need another piece of the puzzle here because the robots need somewhere to run, okay? Here we are seeing the platform where we manage the whole thing. We create the robots, we execute them, we can schedule the execution here, we can see the reports, a lot of things we can do here in a centralized way. But also, those robots are not going to be run here in this platform. The robots need to be run in another machines, be it virtual machines or be it PCs or laptops or whatever. But the robots run in these machines. So we can see here that I got this machine here. This machine is just running a program, a software that allows the machine to connect to this platform. So we can see here the state of the machine, the memory that we have there, the disk space, and also what kind of operating system we are working. In this case, this robot runs in Windows, but it can also run in Linux or Mac even. So, and also we have here remote control. So if we want to, in this demo, we're going to do it, we can see what's going on. We can see what the machine is doing. Right now it's a black screen because the machine is blocked. It's nothing running here. But once the robot starts the execution, we're going to see here what the robot does, okay? This is very useful, of course, when you are developing, but also in production environments where sometimes you want to see what the robot is doing. So let's just run the robot and see it in action. First of all, I'm going to choose an input file. It's just a way to configure the robot because what the robot is going to do is going to come here to this web page, okay, bing.com/COVID, and it's going to retrieve this information, the recovered cases, the active cases, and it's going to take a screenshot of this map, and it's going to generate a report with this information. So as I've said, a human can do that. I can copy this and paste it into an Excel file, but it's very boring and it's error prone, and we're just going to let the robot do it. So here we are going to choose a file where we are going to, let me show you the file, please. Here, this is an input file, just as an example. We have these areas that we want the robot to search information from. And this is where the robot is going to fill the information that he's retrieving. So we come here and we choose the file and we run the robot. And now the first thing that we see here is that we have the workflow. Again, it's very important to know what the robot is doing and which state of the workflow is the robot actually on. Here we also have an execution log of what the robot is doing. This is very detailed information in case you need for auditory processing or whatever. And here, if we go to the resources, we can see now that there is no blank screen anymore. We are seeing what the robot is doing, is trying to look for this information in the web, okay? Again, we have here the control of what the robot is doing. We can see screenshots. We can see all kind of debugging information. Right now, we are looking information for Virginia in this case. And once the robot is done acquiring that data, it's going to pass to the next step in the workflow that is going to be create the presentation. So if we come here, we see that we are not anymore in the browser. Right now we are opening Excel file and we are copying the information here. And Now we are creating the PowerPoint. Everything's going fine. It's very quick. So in a minute or so, we have our reports. We have here our reports. If I go to the Excel file, I see that now I have the information retrieved from the web. I have all kind of graphics that I may want to need. And also I have the PowerPoint with the same data, and also even some of the screenshots that we've gathered. Okay. So, well, this is a very simple example of how the robot can work by itself. Let me go back to the presentation, please. Yes. So this is a very simple example of a robot working by itself and just retrieving information, generating a report, or doing whatever it's needed, but there is no interaction with anything else. The human can go to the platform and retrieve the reports, or we may even program the robot to send it by email or leave it in a folder in the network, whatever, okay? But now we're going to see how to deeper into this with the concept of full stack automation. Because what about if I need not just information from that web? What about if I have also, for example, a web API somewhere else where there is another information that I may want to retrieve? Or what about if I have a model of artificial intelligence that is going to, in this case, what we're going to see, the model is going to predict based on the historic data. We are trying to predict what the next, what the evolution of the victims of COVID is going to be in the future, okay? What if we also need a human to analyze everything and to extract conclusions of all this information? We can't do that with RPA alone. So that's what we need, Appian. We need a full stack automation platform that's going to make all these things come together. So in this case, we're going to see live that I have a little screen. It's a very simple interface. This is just a demo with all the graphics. I would like to show you them live better. It's much better. So in this case, what we have here is an application. So let's pretend that I am an epidemiologist, okay? And I need to make a report for my director about the evolution of the COVID, and I need to analyze all the information that I may be able to gather, okay? So instead of going to all the places by myself, copying and pasting and looking for this information, I have all that here, okay? First of all, I can use this API, for example. It's a public API where I can retrieve with REST, the REST protocol. I can retrieve information about the evolution of the virus. Then we also have this information because some of the data that we need, let me change to here. No, excuse me, here. This information I can gather from the REST API, but this information, the total recovered cases, the new recovered cases, and the active cases are not on this web API. So we need a robot to go to this place. The robot is just the same robot that we used before, but instead of generating a report, now it's going to integrate all the data here, okay? And also then we have this, this Google Cloud Platform artificial intelligence model. Appian can work with Google out of the box. We have integrated artificial intelligence in order to scan documents, extract information from documents, also analyze text. There is a lot of things that you can do with Appian out of the box. But in case that you have your own model, you can build your own model in Google or in Amazon or Azure or whatever is the tool that you choose to use for your artificial intelligence modeling. You can integrate that very easily in Appian. So you simply have to define the model, and you simply have to define your queries, And once you have all that defined, you integrate that in Appian with no problem, just a few clicks, okay? So with that, we are going to start. Okay, I say that I want to update the information, and the first thing that I got is right away I have the data extracted from the web API because it's very fast. Of course, always that you have this kind of data available through a REST API is wise to use it instead of a robot. But for this case that I don't have this kind of data, I have to rely on a robot. Let's see. Let's see here. I don't know what's going on. Now I got it here. Okay, I have my robot here. Okay, this is a very, very simple robot because it does the same. We can reuse a lot of the code that we use in the previous example. You can reuse it here. Okay, it's very easy to reuse code between robots in this platform. So this is the same code that we used before, but as we can see here, without the generate presentations action. Okay, so once we have this, we are going to see here that the robot is evolving through the workflow. We have to wait a little bit more. That's one of the things. The access through the web API is much more faster than the RPA, but well, it is what it is. That's why we prefer to use the web API whenever we can. And let's see, now we have finished, okay? Here we have 0 recovered cases and 0 recovered cases, but that's just because the information that we have in this web shows 0 recovered cases. Well, I hope that is just a failure in the data, and I hope there are a lot of people recovering, okay? But in this case, the data that we have is 0. And here we can see that as a result of the information that we've gathered, we can show the statistics, we can show some graphics, and even this thing here in yellow is the predicted total cases that we found here, okay? So the same that we have here, we have integrated very easily in that graph. And now with this information, I am, as an epidemiologist, I should analyze all this and just write a report. It looks like it's getting worse. We need more. We need more masks, for example. This is my analysis, a very simple analysis. And once I've done my analysis and I save it, okay, I'm done. Okay, now the process may need for someone else to approve this analysis. For example, in this example, I'm asking for more masks, so we need more budget. So I need to send that for someone to approve this. Okay, so let's pretend that I am also the director. Okay, and I go to my tempo tool here, and I see here a task. Okay, so I go to my task and see what's going on. What do I need to do? And I see here that someone has sent me a report, and I have to approve or to reject it. Okay, so in this case, first of all, I need to accept the task, and once I have accepted the task, I can approve this. Of course, let's buy more masks. Okay, this is as a director, I can approve this decision. This is a very simple use case, but I just want to show. Right now, I don't have this task anymore. I just wanted to show you the power of this, the power of integrating everything in a single workflow. Okay, in a single screen, I have data from a lot of places. I have a lot of things automated. And I just have to do what I do best, analyze, extract conclusions, things that no robot or not artificial intelligence is able to do, at least yet. Okay, let's see in the future. But for the moment, humans are needed for this kind of tasks. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you about full stack automation. And now I would like to show you one last demo, is the dynamic load handling, because as I said before, another thing that is very, very useful when you are trying to, not just useful, needed, when you are trying to automate complex processes in a real enterprise environment, is that you need to scale. You need to be able to scale. You need to be able to even dynamically start resources, shut down resources, manage all of these things. Because now we've seen just one robot in action, but imagine a real company running hundreds of robots, and you need to control everything in an easy and centralized way. And that's Appian stands for that. Okay, it's very simple to do that here in Appian. So in this case, what we're going to see is an example of how even we can even start containers, because here with Appian, once you have your license, you can have the number of robots that you really need. You can have one robot, you have 100 robots. You can have 100 machines where the robots are going to be running, okay? So there is really no license problem with that. But the problem comes when you need to manage all this. So in order to simplify all this, we are trying to make that easier for a human. So we are going to see a case where the robot detects that there are some things that needs to be done, and automatically the platform is going to start some resources. It's going to run the robot, and it's going to shut down the resources. Okay, this is excuse me. This is a more complex demo to see because there are a lot of moving pieces, but I'll try my best to show you how it's done. Okay. Here we have a simple robot that the only thing that we're going to do with this robot is we're going to generate some things that needs to be done. In this case, this robot is going to fill a queue. Okay, I'm going to come here and I'm going to see my queues where all the work is waiting to be processed. And let's see if the robot starts the execution. Let's see if the robot starts the execution. Yes, now we are adding items to the queue. So I can see that now I have 5 pending items. Now we have 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch robots. This execution that we see here are robots that are going to process those items in the queue. We're not going to go into the details of what the robots are going to do with those items, because what we want to show here is the ability to start robots, to stop robots automatically, to launch containers, to run the robots. So what the robot really does is very simple. It's going to save information in a database. It does nothing more. But I want to show you one thing. Here we are waiting for a node. This robot is trying to run, but has nowhere to run because there are no machines to run. These robots are configured to run in these 2 machines, but as we can see, the machines are offline. So what we have done is we have configured the system. So now once the system detects that we have some robots waiting for execution, and we can see in the events of the platform that we have here a robot scheduled without node. That's an event that the system has launched. And immediately we have configured the system to start a container, okay? So with this, we can see that now we are trying to start a container, okay? So if we come here to the resources, we can see that the robots are yet, the resources are yet offline because the the Dockers need 1 or 2 minutes in order to start the whole container and start running the robots. But in 1 or 2 minutes, we are able to start a Docker container and just run the robot. And once the robot is done, we can shut down the container. That's very simple. That we can free the resources. Instead of having 100 resources running at the same time, we can just start them when we really need them. So we save resources. IT people is going to love this. And here we can see, hopefully, yes, we have the Docker container already started, and it's already executing the robot, okay? And once the robot is done, now we have the two containers running the same robot simultaneously in order to speed up the process. Let's think that we have some kind of SLAs defined by contract with our customers, and we need to solve those items, to process those items very quickly. So we can expand the number of containers in order to be able to be up to the demand that we are having, okay? And we can see here that once the robots are done, the Dockers are again offline. We can see the executions here, okay? The execution is these two executions, 10:03, 10:02, and we can see that everything went fine, and everything went fine, okay? So, well, this is another example of what we can do with the platform. And with this, I would like to finish the presentation. Just to summarize all that we have seen, we can say that, well, hopefully I have shown you that full stack automation really means power. Power for us to automate, to make better processes, to make faster decisions, to make everybody a little bit happier, the employees and the customers, okay? Here we have the workflow, the artificial intelligence, RPA, the case management, all these together and unified in a single platform. Okay, so that's about all my presentation. Just I want to end saying that here we are growing. Appian is growing, and especially here in Spain, we are growing. We have opened a few positions here. So if you are interested in Appian, in what you've seen, please contact us in appian.com/careers. And well, you can see that we have positions in a lot of places in the world, but especially here in Seville, we have positions for people that just graduate. You don't really have to have experience in order to work for us. So please come here, join us, and let's add up your talent to our team. Okay. And that's all. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Victor. That was very interesting. You give a very good overview, and I really appreciated that you would do all these things really live. So what we're doing is now we are opening the floor for the participants. Maybe I can take the pleasure as a host to launch the first question. So one of the things that I've seen is that I've been working as a workflow consultant myself for quite a number of years. And I always thought that workflow was such a great idea, but it never really caught on in the way that I expected that it would. But now you are presenting us with all these different capabilities that need to be tied together in some way, right? That is the story behind much of your work. So what do you think that the popularity of RPA will do for the idea of workflow and workflow management integration?
Well, I do think that the way to go is what we just saw. RPA is going to be a part of a bigger picture. It's a very important part of the picture, but it's just a piece of the bigger picture. We have to focus on that, on the bigger picture, and not just focus on little robots that does this little thing or that little thing there, here and there. All the robots distributed along the whole company with no governance, with no centralized management. This is going to end. We really need to centralize the management of the robots and to integrate them with a lot of other tools.
Right. Yes, that was very clear. We have a question from the audience. There's a question by Amin. Amin, I will unmute you so you can formulate your question yourself. Go ahead.
Thanks, Hayo. Thanks for a nice presentation. I wonder if robots can create new robots or modify existing robots themselves.
Well, that's a nice question. I think that at the moment, robots just does what you told them to do. As I said in the beginning, robots tend to do very dumb. They're really not able to adapt to things. If you want them to adapt, you need to integrate them with artificial intelligence or with humans, as we saw. So the question of a robot modifying other robots, I have to say that it has entered my mind at some point. I think that we're not there quite yet. Okay, I don't think that.
And maybe one other very quick question. I think it should be possible, but currently, as I saw, or maybe I mistake, human starts the process. Can it be possible that the system starts the robot's process? For example, if you have a fraud detection process and a new customer comes and the employee wants to check if the customer is has some problem or not based on information on the web. So can we have parameterized robot that the system itself call it and get the result, so fast, making the whole process faster?
Yes, of course, definitely. I haven't, so we also have a demo for that, but we haven't had time today. But yes, you can start a robot manually, as I've done. You can start a robot scheduling, for example, every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, for example. But of course, you can trigger the execution of a robot by anything else, by a mail that just arrived, by a file that appears in a folder, an invoice that is sent to you by, in an FTP server, whatever. You may also have robots that launches another robot, because you may encounter that once one robot finishes the execution, depending on the result of the execution, you may want another robot to go on with that workflow in another way. So you can combine different robots with a human in the loop or without the human in the loop. So yes, there is all kind of ways to launch robots. I think that here the imagination is the limit.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What we do is we will switch to Australia. You also have people calling in from the other side of the world, Victor. There was a question by our keynote speaker who presented yesterday, Mo Win. Mo, I'm going to give you the opportunity to raise the question yourself. Let's see.
I can also unmute her.
Yes, she is unmuted.
Okay.
Mo, please go ahead.
Hi, and thank you, Victor, for a great presentation. I just want to ask you a little bit about your exception handling strategies. So my question is, we know that with the RPA, right? So we are worried always about the lack of exception handling or challenges with RPA and exception handling. So now that you are combining it with process or workflow management, which has quite a rich exception handling capabilities. So how are you envisioning the exception handling for this hyper automation scenario?
Yes, thank you for the question. Well, exception handling is a complex thing because there are so much possibilities. A lot of things can happen, but I would divide the exceptions in, let me be simple here, but I would divide them in two kinds. The one that you may expect and the ones that you don't expect, okay? So you may expect some kind of exceptions because, for example, you are dealing with data and sometimes you know that the data is wrong. You have a passport and sometimes the number of the passport doesn't match. Sometimes you encounter different things that once, when you are developing the robot, you know that it may happen. So you may want to treat that as an exception handled by humans. For example, you may want to, in Appian, we have another system called RWM that I haven't had time to show it here. There is a lot of things in Appian in so little time. but you can send the exception with an interface to a human where you say, okay, the robot has found this error where this passport doesn't match, or this data doesn't match, this invoice number is not found in the system where I want to update the invoice, whatever they may happen, and you let a human deal with that. As we saw in the presentation, that you can have tasks assigned to you. So you will receive a task and you will have to change the data, or maybe relaunch the robot, change something in order for you to fix the error and let the robot go on with the process. But then, of course, there are another kind of exceptions. And in this kind of exception are more like unknown. You don't know what is going to happen. You know that something went wrong, but you don't know exactly what happened. The robot is not clever enough to know what happened. It's just the robot was waiting for something to happen, and it didn't happen, and you don't know why. So what you want to do is to have all the information that I've showed you before in the logs and the screenshots and everything, and that you want to send that to a different person. You don't want to send that to a business user, so to speak. You want to send that to a developer, to an administrator, to someone who is more technical, because something went wrong with the robot itself, not with the data or with the application. So I would divide that into different phases, but all of that is integrated inside the same workflow. I don't know if I answered.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's right. We have another question. That is Kamal. I will unmute for you, but in the interest of time, could you try to both formulate the question shortly and also the answer? Thank you.
I will try. Thank you.
Kamal, go ahead.
Okay, hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
So good morning, thank you for your presentation. So I'm Kamal from the software industry, and I'm also in a PhD now. I have mainly 3 questions.
Oh, that is too much. You have to pick one because we have to move on to the next session.
Okay, so I will take the first one. So in your slide, what is automation? There is, yeah, you talked about cognitive work. Cognitive work, what do you really mean by cognitive work? And I will add, and the next slide, you talked about less exceptions. Can you focus on those points in RPA? I have 2 other questions, but I will ask only this one. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, cognitive work is those things that can be done by artificial intelligence. And someone can say that artificial intelligence may be part of RPA, but I don't really think so. RPA is one thing and artificial intelligence is another thing. And for example, analyze the sentiment of a text, try to extract information from email, for example, written in plain text. If you have a perfectly defined and well-structured data in your email with fields that the user has filled, then you can use only RPA. But if you have a free text where the user just expressed their opinion about something or the problem in free language, then you cannot analyze that with RPA alone, and you need cognitive capabilities like the ones provided by artificial intelligence. And I'm sorry, but the other question about the exceptions, I didn't understand the question.
So,
but I also think we should leave it here.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thank
you.
you.
Sorry, but I think it's very clear that your presentation has raised much interest among us. So
thank everybody for assisting.
And very much. It is much appreciated that you also give this perspective on from industry on RPA. Thank you very much. So I'd like to make one announcement.